Ahoy hoy, you just.
Huge arse.
Huge. Huge arse.
Huge arse.
Huge arse. Huge
Arse.
Hugh.
You make me the huge arse.
Good evening, huge arse.
Huge jars. I love that name.
Jars. Huge arse.
No, only Lord.
Lord Huge.
Huge jars.
Huge ass.
The Hugh Yarts. Please let me know how you pronounce your last name.
Huge anus.
Good evening, Mr. Jars.
Huge ass.
And huge arse.
I love you, Hugh.
Greetings and salutations, this is Hugh Jars. The reason this channel exists is because I wanted to attack the smooth talking sophists who lure people away from reality with their talk of flat earth and other conspiracy nonsense. So I imagine, like you, dear listener, I watch a lot of flat earth videos, mostly because I enjoy a good laugh, but also because it constantly amazes me that people actually choose to be fooled. There's zero evidence of a flat earth that isn't also valid on a spherical earth. My first video, which was a collaboration with Crafty Keeler, looked at what the author considered 3 globe killers. But they were nothing of the sort. We proved that in our video. They're just all nonsense. In fact, how anyone would believe there was anything that was like proof for the flat earth was just beyond us. But I think it's only fair that I respond with 3 flat earth killers. And here we go. Number 3. Lunar eclipses. A lunar eclipse is where the sun, the earth and the moon, in that sequence, line up. The shadow from the earth is cast on the moon. An intrepid moonwalker would look up at the sun and see the earth was in the way. However, in the flying pizza world, the sun and the moon rotate around the North Pole, never ever coming in each other's way. Flat Earth have no answer to lunar eclipses. They don't explain it at all, and they don't explain it because they can't. And as I suspect I'll say more than once in this video, if one view of the world explains everything perfectly, and another view of the world doesn't explain it at all, which worldview are you going to go with? Number 2. The South Celestial Pole. If you remember the flying pizza that Flat Earth insists we live on, you'll notice that everything, including the sky, revolves around the North Pole. The South Pole is just an ice wall that no one has ever crossed, although some flat earthers say there's lands beyond it. Either way, that would mean there's one point of rotation in the sky around the North Star or Polaris. But in reality, we have 2, one in the southern stars as well. I live in the southern hemisphere, and like anyone else in this hemisphere who has the right equipment, you can take a picture of the southern sky and see the rotation for yourself. I took this time lapse from my backyard, and you can see clearly where the Southern Cross is and the pointers, and you can see how they move through the night around a central celestial pole. It's not fancy equipment either. All I had was a Nikon B500 and a tripod. And if there's a South Celestial Pole, we do not live on a flying pizza. A second point of rotation is just impossible on a flat Earth. I don't know what the flat earthers would say to this. Maybe they'd say it was CGI.
CGI.
Once again, reality says there's 2 points of rotation, and that works on a sphere. Flat Earth say there's only 1, and yet there's 2. If one worldview explains everything and the other worldview explains nothing, which one are you going to go with? And the number 1 flat earth killer is... we have measured and observed the curvature of the earth. For this one, I'm calling in the big guns. Here's Where's Wally to explain it all to you.
No worries, Hugh. Barely an inconvenience. Always happy to give it to the flatties, keeping it tight. Wow, just so many curve examples, really. How about these? Lake Pontchartrain, Earth shadow in a lunar eclipse, and Himawari 8 with bonus moon caught in the overscan. Excellent. Starman, that went for 5 hours. And from the moon looking back at the Earth we see an eclipse. And then we have an undistorted black swan. And these two epic ships, look at that. So anyway, I think we might throw a little modus tollens at this. P, the Earth is flat. Q, then the horizon must also be flat and straight. Oh, look at this image from Rory though. Not Q. Certainly not Q for that one. Therefore, not P. Oh, that's gotta hurt. That was too easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Thanks, Wal. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. If you're not subscribed to Where's Wally already, what the hell's wrong with you? Get on over there and make sure you click that subscribe button to him. He puts out some pretty awesome content. I saw many ways to observe Earth curvature in there, Wal. It was really good. One way of looking up measurements of the Earth's curvature is to go to mctoon.net/r. There, mctoon, another great content provider, lists a whole lot of ways the Earth's radius has been measured, which necessarily means that the curvature's also been measured. URL will be in the description.
Hugh Jars. Just a second. This one's for you. Hugh Jars. I love your video, Hugh Jars. A bunch of people saying it. I thought, hey, there, you can add me to it.
Thanks, Toon. Glad to oblige. And finally, I'd like to issue a challenge to all the flat earthers out there who for some reason have watched this and still insist that the Earth is flat, to come up with a reason why lunar eclipses do work on a flat Earth. How on earth we can have a southern celestial pole as well as a northern one on a flat Earth. And finally, how can we measure curvature wherever we look? Wally's gave you many ways of doing it, and I also gave you a website that you could look at as well. Come on guys, I'd love to see your response. Now if you're someone on the fringe of flat Earth and you've been convinced by anything in here, let me know in the comments below. I particularly like Rory's picture of the curve that's been compressed in between two levels, and you can see clearly that the sea is curved. So there you have it, the top 3 flat Earth killers. They're killed dead. There are many more, of course, but that's the top 3. I might do a video on some of the others at some point, but for now, if you're not convinced by that, you never will be. You're just choosing to be willfully ignorant. I've just realised that this video is corgi free so far, so let's fix that. And finally, we live in troubled times. We have a pandemic sweeping the world. Some places are doing better than others. But all deaths are tragedy, and the more deaths we avoid, the better for all of us. So here's a little message from someone who might give you some motivation to wash your hands and stay at home.